Haven't gotten to Bill yet and the snubbery. What's your reaction to that? I mean, you almost had to laugh at the idiocy of it.
Well, again, I think I have a different take than most when it comes to, this Hall of Fame voting scenario. I mean, I'm a system guy. There's a system in place where 50 individuals, right, have a vote, a say in who is inducted into the Hall of Fame, the most prestigious honor for an individual who has been a part of the National Football League. That carries weight. All 50 of those people represent the National Football League through their vote, bringing in people who symbolize the best of the best. Somebody, i.e. Roger Goodell, I would have to think, looks over that and says, okay, yep, that's going well, right? There's always somebody governing the system. Mm-hmm. They're called leaders. And in this case, the leader failed to do his job. And I just think that that's the only story I can take. That's the only takeaway I have, is that if it came across my desk and they're like, hey, here's the press release on where the hall is as it relates to the finalist, I would have said, hey, hard stop, get them in a room, get them on the phone. We had to talk about this.
It's interesting because one aspect of this that really hasn't been highlighted enough is they're doing it on Zoom. They're not doing it as they used to in a room the day before the Super Bowl, which is what used to happen, and then they'd bring the guys out at halftime and they would wave and they would tell all. Now they do it on Zoom as a result of post-COVID. So you got 50 guys on Zoom and they make the presentations, and the guys are clicking and muting. So, but at the end of it, when they're voting for 3 players or 3 individuals from this group of 5, there's no way that somebody says, hey, make sure that we get Belichick in, okay? I don't know if you guys are over there voting for Roger Craig and Ken Anderson because you think they ought to be in and it's a symbolic vote, but if we don't get Belichick in, they're going to be up our ass, and we don't need that if we want to keep doing this. But they didn't do that.
Well, listen, we've gotten away from so many things that are traditions, mm-hmm. right? And they're traditions because they were important enough to make it a point to do them that way every year, right? If you want to break down traditions, that's a good way to look at it. When you don't make that important anymore, when it's not a priority to get everybody in the room so that you can have a real conversation. Again, we're not talking about, whether or not we should put, flowers on the sideline.
Right.
This is a really important decision that gets made every year that really honors, the league and the people who represent it. But again, I just had to say that great leaders don't allow that to happen. And that's a failed leadership. And I think that the lesson that comes out of this is, we can never allow that to be the talking point, because it sucks.
It's going to suck for whoever gets in.
And it takes away from the guys who deserve to be there, who are finalists, who are going to be inducted this year. We're talking about Bill Belichick not being on the list. What we should be talking about are the Drew Breeses, mm-hmm. are the people who are on that list because of who they are, the men that they are, the way they led, and what they stood for. That's what we should be talking about.